Hello and welcome back to my channel, Reviews by Beth, and today we are going to be talking about It Ends With Us. Now there has been a lot of drama online about this because the film has just recently come out starring Blake Lively as Lily Bloom and Justin Baldoni who plays Ryle. And it's been all over social media, and even though we might talk about the film, I just wanted to hop on and note the book because that is what the film is set on, and I read this first about 3 years ago, so I reread it and here are my thoughts and opinions. Now, trigger warning, this is about domestic violence, so switch off if you're affected by that or it's triggering for you. But I want to talk about It Ends With Us. In my opinion, it was a good book. It was definitely enlightening. I haven't really read too much on domestic violence. I think it really shows us the vulnerability of women and how easy it can be for someone to get themselves trapped in a relationship, and how it's not just as easy as everybody thinks. It's very emotionally complex, and I think that is touched on very heavily in this book. So through this book, we have the protagonist Lily Bloom, and we follow her as she moves to the city and pursues her dream of becoming a florist. She sets up a shop, and she meets this character called Ryle in her building on the rooftop, who is a surgeon, and she falls in love with him. Meanwhile, she had an original love called Atlas, who we kind of jump back and forth. So there's a lot of analepsis and prolapsis in the text between this first love that she had in Atlas, who we later see in the book, he makes an appearance, and this present love in Ryle. Now, the relationship with Ryle starts off very sweet. We see the love and the passion between these two, and I remember when I was reading it, I was like rooting for them to be like, I was fully enthralled in their love, and I thought it was a good love story until we start to see the cracks in some of Ryle's character, which is he abuses. And it was quite unexpected to begin with. It wasn't, when reading this, I had no idea it was about domestic violence. And I think it's portrayed quite well. It has some very complex characters, it's got some very complex thoughts and feelings that are shared. And spoiler alert, she ends up pregnant with Ryle's child at the end, and the question is what to do. So she does leave Ryle in the end, sort of, and it's that question of being attached to someone who harms you. So there's a lot of deep themes in this book, and it's very interesting when reading it. If you're liking the video and the channel so far, please like, comment and subscribe. And if you want to support the channel, we have a Patreon, or if you want to buy one of the books using my Amazon link will help as well. And I would say the book is quite an easy read. It's not challenging in its language. The pace is quite good. I would say that it's quite a realistic romance. Like, it doesn't feel too forced, it doesn't feel too fictional. But there are a few issues with this in regards to potentially romanticizing domestic violence, which we don't want. And I think there's, especially when tackling such an issue such as domestic violence, which is also extremely prevalent in today's society, it will affect a lot more people, not just women, but also men, predominantly women. It's quite difficult to talk about, and I don't think teenagers, especially young teenagers who are reading this, and this is, you know, marketed as a romance usually, and it shouldn't be marketed as a romance. It should be a warning, and it should be taken, you know, seriously. And I think there's a lot of discussion online around whether we should be allowing younger people to read this. I think maybe there should be an age on it, or parents should be advised that this is actually what the themes of the book are about. So I think there's a bit of bit of controversy surrounding this book, but it was a good read, and I was attached to the character Lily Bloom. I desperately wanted her to get away from Ryle, and I think this book shows the struggles, and it's not just as easy as leaving someone. Obviously there's a load of emotions connected and attached to different people, so I think that shows that element of domestic violence very well. If I was to rate this out of 5, I would maybe give it a 3.54 out of 5. I did really like the book to begin with, but I just felt it was quite an easy read, didn't challenge me too much. I didn't love all the characters. I mean, I knew I wasn't like meant to like all the characters, but something just felt a little bit like it was missing in this book for me. And especially since knowing all the controversy, I mean, Colleen Hoover tried to make this a colouring in book, which just seems completely wrong. And I think the PR around the marketing of this film is just not hitting the mark as well, I think, which is making me think, do people not understand the themes and the severity of this book and the domestic violence? So I think it was an interesting one. I might read It Starts With Us because I do have the book, but that is my take on It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. Now, if you liked this video, please like, comment and subscribe. And if you want to support us, you can by supporting our Patreon channel. And that is all from me. Bye bye!